On behalf of the Lone Star Conference, I'm Chris Dew with Lubbock Christian University. We're talking with Todd Duncan, the head coach of the LCU men's basketball program. And Coach, thanks for joining us, and I think we're actually getting ready for a season. Last season was the Chap's first year in the Lone Star Conference. What were some of your takeaways, most notably that you took away about Lone Star Conference play over the Heartland Conference, which was LCU's prior conference?
Well, a lot of respect for both leagues, honestly. Just the night in, night out, knowing you're going to get an opponent that the margin of error is going to be pretty small. You're going to have to play your best. If you don't show up ready and prepared, to compete at a high level, you're probably not going to win the game. So I thought our guys did a pretty good job of that. We prepared best we could, knowing kind of with our division and some of the higher level teams that were in our league, being on our schedule, just knowing that it was going to be night in, night out. But that's something we've kind of tried to prepare every year for, is knowing to get to where you want at the end of the year in terms of the postseason. You're going to have to play a good schedule. When you get into the Lone Star, especially with all the teams coming over from the Heartland, that was kind of built into your schedule.
Well, the Lubbock Christian University Chaps last year were going into a season which they were trying to replace Brendan Fowler, Isaac Azret, two big names of this program. But Coach, you were able to survive that. If anybody was going to say it was a rebuilding year, it was kind of an unknown year, but you proved that you've still got a very talented squad despite losing those guys, and now this is the team that you have to build into this year.
Well, every year you're hoping at some point you get to the point where you're losing good players every year. Not that you're, ever look forward to that, but just because that says where your program is. But I just thought some of our newcomers just really stepped in and filled that gap. You really never replace two guys like Brennan and Isaac, who are unique in so many different ways. But I thought, Rashawn Proctor and Parker Higgs, Lloyd Daniels, that were, coming back or new to our program really stepped up. Obviously Cameron Copley, and then just Ty Caswell, Amir Mohammed, some of our freshmen came in, and you never know what you're going to get from a freshman. Down the line you're thinking they're going to really step up and help the program, but to see them step in and have great freshman campaigns, I think that it gave us some depth that we might have needed to replace those two superstars that we lost the year before.
Coach, I know COVID's a big focus. How did COVID affect your recruiting efforts in putting this team together? Or was there no effect and you were able to get who you wanted?
Yes and yes, I guess. It affected it into the sense that we couldn't necessarily have on campus, in-person conversations that, always seem to, I think, just bring out the best of what we have to offer and really helps us to get to know the student athlete better. But it forced us to, to get on the phone more, to do a lot of FaceTime, to really communicate in ways that maybe we wouldn't have done if we hadn't been forced to. But again, everyone was in that boat. I think just losing one senior with Rashawn Proctor having signed Jalen early in the fall signing, and just knowing we had a limited amount of roster spots and we'd kind of identified those guys before everything shut down, was a real advantage to us. Again, recruiting's a little bit of a roll of the dice anytime you do it, but I was really pleased with the players we were able to get and the roster we have returning.
Give us a quick snapshot of the players you have returning and some of the new additions that could be an impact this year.
Well, I just think, the returners like Parker and Lloyd, Cameron, obviously Ty, Amir, and some of the newcomers that are coming in like Ben Jansen and, our freshman Jalen is, I think down the road, if not immediately, going to help us. So I just think Gonzalo is another one from Las Cruces, a state championship team. I just think we have some depth. Probably have 8 or 9 guys that are ready to play immediately, and then it's just going to be time will tell, how quickly some of those newer guys, matriculate into the season. That's why I'm hoping we're able to start, as scheduled and really get these guys their feet wet early on. Of course, we don't have any pre-conference games to ease into anything that maybe we might get a non-D2 game to just kind of, get some guys some experience. But we don't have that luxury, really not going to have a lot of scrimmages or things like that. So you're just using practice to get the best feel that you can. I think the real benefit for at least this year's team is that those kids are not at the mercy of what the NCAA is going to decide in terms of them losing their eligibility, because it's already been determined that next year they'll get to retain the same status they have this year. It just takes a lot of pressure off, because before that the dilemma was maybe you redshirt a kid or two who could get caught in limbo just playing a limited amount of games and have their college career come to an end maybe prematurely. So I'm thankful that we're not at least going through this season with that cloud over us.
LCU was able to play a scrimmage up at University of Central Oklahoma. Coach, what did you learn about your team and that one opportunity you had before you jump in the season? I don't know if it's any indication of what you'll see this year from your squad. You probably would like to see that on an everyday basis. Reports were your team performed well.
Well, we shot it really well. I thought we defended well. We, the guys that, we hadn't seen play in a while, like a Rowan McKenzie who redshirted last year and, played a lot of basketball, but it just hasn't been able to play here yet. So we got to see him on the court in game action. And then Ben Jansen, another newcomer, did well. And of course, Lloyd, Parker, Cameron, Ty, Amir, all those guys we'd counted on. I think Zach Stepp was going to come in and do a good job for us as a senior. And then Gonzalo, Jalen, some of those freshmen that we're depending on, if not this year, down the road to be, high impact players for our team. And we just got to play somebody else. There's just a different vibe that's hard to create when you're the clock's on and you're playing somebody in a different color jersey, and it just means a little more. So I was just thankful for those kids who've waited a long time to get on the court and compete against someone else, that it came, and we were just taking advantage of this opportunity, and hopefully we'll get many more of them.
Final question for head coach Todd Duncan. Your season schedule's 22 games, really no room for error. Can't really have tryouts. You pretty much got to roll it out there, roll the ball out there, get the guys on the court, and pretty much take every game as if you're down in that final February stretch, and then every game's going to feel like a playoff game. But the schedule's set up different with the 22 games where you're facing opponents on back-to-back nights or back-to-back games. What are some of the things you like about the schedule?
Well, one, I just like that we have a schedule. I know there's a lot of moving parts and a lot of conversations gone into what's the best way to do it, and we're all learning on the fly here. So I'm just proud of our conference, our administration, all the coaches that serve on the committees to just help these young people have a schedule, and doing our very best with the testing and all the protocols and all the hurdles that are maybe in the way to still let's do our best so that these kids, if we can do it in a safe and just a healthy environment, then let's do it for these kids. And that's really what we're here for. So the fact that we're able to get that, at least at this point, keep moving forward in that direction, that's what I'm most thankful for. And then we'll just have to take it as it comes and realize this is going to be a year where we just have to pivot as a coach. And really, in general, people like to have control over kind of what's coming, but the reality is we don't. So we just have to trust and do our best, and there'll be some things that happen that are out of our control, and when those things happen, we just have to adjust and accept it and just make sure we're doing our part to stay healthy, stay safe, and stay together and be prepared so when those opportunities do come that we're able to put our best foot forward and just trust and praying that we'll all get through a long, successful, and a full season.
Well, Coach, we wish you the best of luck this year.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
And for those outside the Lubbock community, us here at LCU will be hoping that Lubbock does their part, as LCU does plan to, with restrictions in place, to try to provide the best atmosphere for the student athletes, and hoping that we can have fans here in attendance at the Rip Griffin Center. Speaking on behalf of the Lone Star Conference, I'm Chris Dew, once again for Lubbock Christian University.